Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So as you can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about my opinion of the Apple Watch SE first generation. Alright, just had to clarify. So I have a couple points to talk about, and basically, I want to talk about, is the Apple Watch SE first generation still, a good enough product to buy in 2023? Just about forgot what year it was. That's not the point yet. Alright. So I basically want to talk about a couple things. So my points are software, as in whatever it's running, their durability, the processor it's running, the battery percentage, and of course, last but not least, is it good to buy in 2023? So yeah, let's get right into it. So first thing I want to talk about is actually the software. Now, this Apple Watch is running watchOS 9.5 Developer Beta 2. And basically, I'm using a beta. I've been using developer betas for all of my Apple products for, goodness, forever. I can't remember the last time, or I can't remember, it's probably honestly the start of iOS 16 when I really started using developer betas. So it's been a while, But yeah, so I have the developer beta of watchOS on my watch, and it's just little things again, it's never necessary to use the it's never necessary to use betas is what I should say. And I mean, you really should only be using betas if, for example, you want to test new things. Usually I would recommend not using betas on a device that's not your main one, or a device that is your main one, I meant to say. So yeah, you should really only test betas on a device that's not your main device. So yeah, just kind of want to get that clear. Again, it's never going to be perfectly stable. I mean, it's a beta, it's in the works, but I still love testing it. I don't know, I'm weird, but yeah. So yeah, it's running, like I said, the developer beta 2 of watchOS 9.5. And I mean, it's been pretty good. Now, battery life I'm going to talk about battery life of the watch, the battery health, how it lasts me, but I also want to talk for a second about the battery life of watchOS 9.5. Now, the battery life, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's fine. Now, here's the thing. I've had this watch for a year and a half. Okay, so I haven't changed out the battery before. It's obviously a little more degraded, so the battery life is not as long. But it's still pretty good. I mean, I'm getting through the day. We're making it through. It's fine. It's lasting me every day, And so, I don't have any issues with it or any complaints or anything like that. I think that the battery life has been pretty good. So, I mean, obviously when you're on a beta, battery usually is not as good. Either sometimes it's better than the public version, or it's not great at all. It's the second option. Usually it's not great at all. But battery life, honestly, for watchOS, I mean, it's such a simple OS. Battery life has been pretty dang good. Alright, so yeah, so that's under the software sort of category. Next, I want to talk about durability. So just how the watch has held up, how it looks, how it, still functions, if everything still works right, just stuff like that, how the watch has been holding up. So let's get into that. So again, I've had this watch for 2.5 years. So, no, 1.5 years, I'm sorry, 1.5 years. So it's had its share of wear and tear. This watch, okay, most of the time I've had this watch, it's not been in a case. Alright, it has been just naked, there's no case, no screen protector on it, just the watch with a watch band. And so, it's held up pretty dang good. I'm not gonna lie, it's held up pretty good. I've not really had any issues with it, or problems, or concerns, or anything. For example, let's talk about how the screen's held up. Now, the screen is just made out of glass. I mean, just regular old glass, nothing special. And so I did wear a case with a little screen cover for the first, oh goodness, for the first little while. Probably in total, like, the first half a year. And then I just sort of, now I hate using my, like, electronics with cases and screen protector and stuff like that. I just hate it. I still do most of the time, just because it's probably a smart decision, but I still hate it. So yeah, not my favorite, but I did use a case with this Apple Watch for a while, and then I eventually took it off. Now, the watch itself actually has quite a few scratches on it. Just because, I mean, you know, it's on my wrist, like, I'm banging it around other things, like, hitting it on just every object known to man. So yeah, it's got some scratches on it, I'm not gonna lie, it's got some scratches. The actual aluminum sides, they're doing pretty good. There's not really any scratches or anything like that. There's a couple dents, there's a couple spots where the paint has sort of chipped away over time. And yeah, I mean, it's fine, you know, it's fine. But yeah, overall durability, I mean, it's pretty good. Not too scratched, it's not broken or anything. I've had zero issues whatsoever with any part of the watch. Any problems I have is really just software related, and that's my own fault for using betas anyway, so I'm not counting that against it. But yeah, I've really had like no issues with the durability of this watch. So next is the processor. So the processor on here is the S5 chip, and here's the thing, it's a little iffy with the processors because, well, number one, it's in an Apple Watch, so the processor is not going to be like amazing, you know. I mean, it's good enough to run an Apple Watch. Obviously, it's not that powerful. Like, it's just enough to run an Apple Watch. And so on board the Apple Watch SE first generation is the S5 chip, and it gets the job done. Like, I've had no issues with any of it. It gets the job done. I mean, like, it's, I mean, it works. But here's the sort of the thing that is something, basically. That made no sense, but I'll elaborate. But so basically, with each series of Apple Watch, the chip changes its name, you know. So like, you have with the Apple Watch 5th generation, the S5 chip, the Apple Watch 6th generation, the S6 chip, 7th generation, S7 chip. Like, you get it, you know, it changes each year. Now, the actual improvements of the chip itself are very incremental. They barely change every year, you know, like, it's it's very little. So, I mean, it's fine, but like, the fact that like the S5 chip, I mean, it's really barely worse than the S8 chip on the, you know, the Series 8 Apple Watch. I mean, maybe the S8 chip has a slightly more powerful specs on the inside, but for the most part, I mean, it's basically about the same. So I really would not worry about how it's going or anything of that sort, you know? So yeah, next category is like the battery health. Now, the battery health on my Apple Watch is at 85%. So that means that after a year and a half, it's degraded to 85% of the original 100% maximum capacity. And if that didn't make sense to y'all, basically, the battery's smaller than it was when I first got the Apple Watch. And I don't have a problem with that. It's really fine. Like, the watch itself is still getting me through a full day of battery life. So it's like, it almost never dies on me before the day's over. Unless, of course, the day was like a really hard day. Like, you know, I used it to work out for a couple hours that day. In which case, yeah, I can usually kill it in one day. But for the most part, I mean, and I use my Apple Watch lightly too. Like, I really am just using it to check time messages. Every once in a while, I'll like answer a phone call with it. But for the most part, really, it's honestly just used for just a watch purposes, telling the time, stuff like that. Now, last question, of course, is it good to buy in 2023? And my answer is yes. Now, yeah, it's a couple years old, but the reason my answer is yes is because it has most of the same features, it has most of the same build, like, as the current Apple Watch SE, you know, like, they're like, There is a second generation Apple Watch SE running the running the S8 chip processor on the inside. And again, like the improvements between those are just so gradual that I really don't see a huge reason to buy the new one over the old one. And that's saying something. I always want the newest technology, but that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, so I really honestly do think that the Apple Watch series, well, I guess it's called the Special Edition. The Apple Watch Special Edition 1 is honestly worth it, I'd say. Like, it holds up great. You know, if you can get it used, I mean, it might have some issues to it, but for the most part, I'd say it's probably fine. But yeah, I really don't have any issues with it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. You know, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for all notifications. Leave a comment, you know, tell us about my channel. Let me know what I can improve on, what to work on, you know, just stuff like that, you know, just kind of let me know. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see y'all in the next one. So yeah, bye guys.